Hey guys, it's Jen. So the last video I posted was kind of like just like a real quick history of me, a little bit like brief, like you'll get to know me a lot better as time goes on. Like a quick story of how I met my twin, because that was just that. And so now I'm going to kind of go into my life a little bit after that. But first, again, guys, this is a channel for me to share my twin flame journey. And so it's for people to be able to relate, to communicate, to talk, to comment, whatever. It's about spirituality. So I told you about how we met and stuff like that. I apologize. I'm very fidgety, guys. I just can't sit still. I'm just like meditation for me is so hard. I have to meditate in different ways. I'm not like, I've tried like to do the whole sit down and meditate, but that's just not my gig. I meditate doing creative stuff, taking walks, walking the beach. The beach is my favorite. That's my grounding. Nothing is more healing than Mother Earth and the ocean in the same place. You got the sand, you got the salt water. The ocean is the best form of cleansing, which we'll talk about that soon too. So let's go to, I met my twin, we were friends, ended up getting back together with who would soon to be the father of my children. So just doing hair, living my life, partying, being a young kid, because I mean, 28's young. But I was a hairstylist, very successful in the town. Ended up getting pregnant, having my first son, Jackson. He's such an angel. He's a lot like my brother. My youngest son, Bodie, is a spitting image of me, which he got the name Bodie because as a kid, I loved the movie Point Break, and who didn't like Patrick Swayze, right? So hot. And the Bodhisattva, like in that movie, surfers, all of it, so I was always, as a kid, I was like, I'm going to have a son. They're going to have long hair, and I'm going to name one of them Bodie. And I did. I named my youngest son Bodie. My first son, Jackson, it fits him. It was a tradition in my ex's family that the first son born is named William, and I couldn't be that jerk that broke tradition. But he doesn't go by William either, the father. He goes by his middle name, and so does Jackson. So, so like I had Jackson, and then, Jackson and Bodie are 3 years apart. So during that 3 years, just living life, doing hair. This is where it's going to get challenging because my ex and I have a great relationship. I really did a lot of fucked up shit, and this is going to be healing for me by talking about some of the things. It might be hard. I know he's so supportive of a lot of the things I do, and he is supportive of me now. And so if he's watching this, I mean, it might get a little hard. So anyway, so we were like a power team. Like this, I'm talking about my ex. We built an empire. We really did. We built a lot of cool shit and bought a house and a business during the time that I was with him. So he wasn't normally the kind of guy that I dated. He was different. I went for more the bad boy sort of guys. And so he was a lot different. But I come to realize the reason why he was put into my life was to kind of break, I don't know how to put it without it. Like, so basically my mom had toxic relationships, right? And, she did a lot of partying and drinking, made a lot of bad choices. And there's some things that I saw as a kid that I said, never, I don't want that. I don't, and so basically he was the person I was supposed to have kids with so that my children would have two loving parents and have a healthy lifestyle. Sorry, Mom. Some of our shit was toxic, but, I learned from it. So thank you. But so my kids have 2 consistent loving parents in their life. I have one I have my mom and my dad. My real dad, I tried to get to know him. He's just a woe is me. My life sucks and everybody kept you from me. And I'm like, you're a grown ass man. Quit singing this same old bullshit. See, and that's the thing that sucks too, is because like I'm more mature than both of my biological parents. But it's okay. I can handle it. I am in control. I've always had to be in control. And now I'm ready to let go of control and just live life. I'm ready for someone to take care of me. And that's like, so I am in union with my twin now. But, so my life, you know, before my twin and I got into union, you know, had 2 kids, bought a house, made my own salon, lost my brother to suicide, lost my grandmother, all in that time frame. A lot of shit happened, but that's life, right? I mean, it's just life. It's just the way that things are. So, but I mean, I always had wandering eyes, I guess. I just didn't feel, I was restless. So, eventually, after my son Bodie was born and stuff like that, Will and I said his name, whoops, we started talking as friends, just friends, you know. He was going through a hard time with his ex and stuff like that, and it just started off as friends, and then it kind of went into a flirtatious sort of thing. Long story short, he had come up to Winter Park one day, and we were all just hanging out. My girlfriend, we were hammered, and we were all just hanging out and just drunk, you know. And my ex got off work and came over to our house, and he was a little suspicious, even though nothing happened. He was a little suspicious, like, of, I guess, what was going on. Because a month later, he proposed after being together for like 7 years. I'm like, now you propose? So I was engaged, but it just didn't. It just, like, my heart wasn't fully in it. And there's times where, the idea of being married, right, is nice. It's like spending the rest of your life with somebody, and that's like society, though. Society puts these standards on what we have to do, and you should go to college, you should do this, you should do that, and you should be married by this, and you should have your first house by this age. And it's just like, it puts all this pressure on you, and you're just like, you feel like you have to do it. And I could do with or without marriage, honestly. I like being by myself, and I like being in a relationship. I'm like, breaking up is hard, you know, because like you're like letting go of all those emotions you've had for somebody. But like, once you're comfortable with yourself, which the months of December through March were my months truly by myself and really healing the inner child. This past, the most challenging months of my whole entire life. But, so all that stuff happened. My twin and I, we started talking, talking. We hung out at one time. Then he, like, met this girl, rightfully so. Like, I'm engaged and I have 2 kids, so we're just, like, friends. So, and then he starts dating this girl. But I notice every time he always would hit me up, and that's because he knew that there was something, but he didn't know, and I knew that there was something, but I didn't. We had no idea that we were twin flames at this time. We just didn't, but we were just, like, so drawn to each other. It's crazy. You're just like, oh, why, you know? Later on down the road, he confessed that he always wanted to be with me, but, like, I mean, we lived in 2 different towns, and what were we going to give up our lives? I mean, in a perfect world, right? But who gives up their whole fucking life for somebody they met at a bar one night? And by the way, in like the last video, I had said that like I moved to the town that I was living in at the time because I was going to take over a business and own my own business, but that ended up falling through. But that's okay. I worked at another salon and then opened up my own, just to clear that air, because I was like, yeah. But he knew that, like, he'd always wanted to be with me. I was that person that, like, I felt like home to him. I felt safe. Come to find out, it's because we were in a past life together. And I believe in past lives. So if you don't, sorry, don't comment about it, because I think past lives are fascinating. I think it's fascinating all in its own, because fears that you have in your current life usually are residual things that have happened in a past life. So, we just always, like, we just felt like we were connected. And so, you know, eventually things kicked off, and I left the father of my kids and started dating him. And so here we are today. It's been, it's hard to say. It's all such a blur. It really is. Like, there was a lot of healing and a lot of challenging times for me. And just, like, I'm not the person that usually just freaking hurts somebody like that. But I was, like, I'm always the one that gets hurt. But I was the one that did the hurt on my ex. And that was so out of character for me. I feel like I lost a lot of friends because of it. But I choose happiness. I choose my heart. I choose doing what feels right. And so, like, I'm the type of person, and this is especially before kids, I'm like, let's do this, fuck it, let's get in the car and go, you know, you got some days off, I got some days off, live life, like, by the seat of your pants, like, right? I'm a very, of course I'm drawing a blank for the word, but, God, it's gonna drive me nuts now, but, like, I love to live in the moment. I like to live my life because tomorrow's never promised. I'm a little bit more reserved now because I have children, I have responsibilities, and I want to make sure that my children are provided for, because they are first and foremost the most important thing to me. But I also want them, like, I'm a gypsy soul. Like, I mean, I moved around my whole life, and my heart, like, I sit here and I'm just like, you know, the world is so beautiful. How could you stay in one place? Like, how could you stay where you were born and raised your whole life and not go experience how beautiful this world is? So, yeah. So, I'm like, we got a lot of history to catch up on, but, I'm with my twin flame now. The first video that I posted, I filmed that, like, I filmed it maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I'd say. But I was so nervous to post it because I was just so nervous, and then I finally did. Well, in that video, I was with my twin, but we were in separation, living in different states, but now we're together again. He came down to Florida. He was supposed to originally come to Florida, but some things happened, and he made some choices that I just wasn't okay with, and, you know, I think we really needed that time apart. I needed that time apart because I needed to learn who I was. And that's why when I talk about, like, twin flames and how everybody wants to be in union, and they're just like, oh, I just want to be with my twin. When's union gonna happen? And it's like, did you do the work? Have you done your inner healing? Because we all have shit that happens in life, right? We're all damaged in some sort of way, whether it's like being conditioned not to think a certain way, and you could have had the perfect parents, but then you could have had trauma happen in high school or just in life in general. You could have had abusive, you know, like, there's so many things that happen to us that, like, some people are like, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, but, like, we all have our own issues. Some people just don't want to admit it, right? If you, like, suppress it and never acknowledge it, then, you know, you're just gonna live in autopilot. But twins, so what twins, right? When the soul splits into two and embodies two different humans, vessels, whatever, you share the same soul. And it's funny because, like, the whole twin flame dynamic, some people don't believe in it and some people do. I do. I believe in a lot of things. I mean, I'm just very open-minded and eager to learn whatever I can. But they say, right, the whole saying is, twin flames are to teach you to love yourself, to help you to grow. And that is the truth. And if you want the fairy tale romance, then you find a soulmate. But if you really want to grow as a human, then you find, and you don't have to be in union. Not all twins are meant to be in union. And being in union is extremely challenging. Especially if the other one's not awakened, right? So let's talk about that for a second. So I woke up. I think that he's awakened, right, to a sense. Divine feminine always leads. I definitely embody the divine feminine energy. And I'm learning to balance my divine masculine, because sometimes that takes over. But I woke up and started to see things differently, and started to move away from things that were no longer serving me. So when we first started dating, we partied, we had fun, we lived life. Like, it was like being kids together, and we had a lot of good times drinking. We had a lot of fun. But then we had some pretty hard, tough times too, because drinking triggered childhood traumas for both of us. For me and him, we have very, very similar childhoods. Abusive, toxic, drinking, drugs, not us, parents. We have very similar childhoods. Like I said in the first video, he was abandoned by his mom, I was abandoned by my dad. So we related on that, but like we both agreed, which is so funny because I didn't realize until right after you fall in love, right? That's when you start realizing. You're just like, whoa. Because that's what happened is, you know, we were so in love. We were just like, it was insane. Like, what, everything that went on, it was just insane. And when I woke up, I started to heal, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this happened, and this triggers, and you know, like he doesn't want to heal it because it's hard. It's hard work. It's painful to heal. And where I'm at in my life now, I chose to quit drinking, mainly because of my spiritual path and for my children, because I saw like some messed up stuff. Some of the stuff that I saw as a child, I suppressed and blacked out. Like, I just checked out. I had that ability. I'm a very like gifted person, if gifted is what you want to use. I mean, we all have capabilities. It's whether you tap into it or not. But something happened when I was a kid that I just shut it down. Like, I was very in tune. Spirit took care of me a lot. Ancestors took care of me and my brother a lot, because there were situations where we were left alone and we shouldn't have been. And something happened and I shut it down. I shut that third eye down, and I'm working really hard to open it back up. And the little girl inside me just wants to feel safe and secure, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that security. And so I've been faced with the challenge of healing that. And my divine masculine, twin flame, he needs to heal his too, because we're exactly the same in that aspect. And it's hard because, like, I didn't realize that I was coping and suppressing everything with drinking because it was normal. That's what I saw. That's like fighting and aggressive. That's love. That's love. And no, that's not love, you know. But I, as a kid, witnessed that. So that's like, and I'm not saying I was a bad drunk, but like when I got pissed off, it was like I was on a war path. I'm going to fucking say whatever the hell I can to hurt you because I'm going to win, right? He who cares less wins. And I'll say, and then you like end up like regretting shit that you say because you can't take it back. You can't take it back. And so that's like, and I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I saw my mom get beat. So for me, I was like, if a man hits me, he better fucking run. And you better believe I will hold my own. And that's not healthy. So that's mainly why I chose to quit drinking, because I have a temper. And my anger stems from childhood trauma. So let's heal that. Let's be unconditional love. Yeah, it all sounds great. And here I am 3 years later, like waiting But time is an illusion to the divine. So they're like, you're almost there, you're almost there. And you're like, when? You know? So that's another reason why I'm doing this, because through this is healing. And, you know, I mean, I like to talk about it. I don't shut down, because when you shut down, that's when you just bottle it all up inside, and nothing good ever comes from that. And that's part of what drinking did too, right? You bottle up, and then it just takes that one, and then you're like, boom. And then you do stuff you regret. Like, and I'm not saying, I'm not that person that sits on a high horse and says, you shouldn't drink. Like I've said before, what's good for you isn't necessarily good for me, and vice versa. Like, I wish that I could be that person that, and usually I am. Usually I'm that person. I'm wild. I'm out of control. I like to have fun. But there are times where I've had some deep, dark moments. And I wish I could be that person that could just have a glass of wine with dinner, but that's just not. I'm like, let's party! And then that's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into another time. But so this is like a quick short one. Like I said, guys, the first few videos are gonna we're gonna get through my life, and then I'll start rolling into the twin stuff. So until then, love and light. I hope all of you are doing well. Shoot me an email if you need someone to talk to. I'll do my best. Sometimes it takes me a while to respond, but I've got a lot going on. I'm a mom who's homeschooling her kids and trying to, I'm trying to live the gypsy soul life. I live out of a travel trailer. Maybe that'll be my next video. I'll tell you as to what's going on now, and then I don't know. Who knows? I don't really have a plan. So, love and light, guys.